genre.
To the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Cassandra Fredrickson.
I'm Nick Jimenez.
And I'm Scott Corelli.
And today on the show we will be discussing, I think, Timelash, the Sixth Doctor's sixth story.
Yes. Timelash, which is written by Glenn McCoy and directed by Pennant Roberts. Timelash is coming toward the end of our only season of Classic Who with 45-minute episodes.
Thank God.
We've only got one more after this, and then never again, which is.
Is the next one the Dalek one?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. And speaking of Daleks, Glenn McCoy, who wrote this story, he actually submitted a storyline featuring the Daleks to the Doctor Who production office in early 1983. And Eric Sayward actually rejected his idea, but then told him that he might actually reconsider the proposal if it was rewritten without Daleks. So, ironically, this story was supposed to have Daleks in it, and he said no, and then the very next story has Daleks in it.
What the heck?
I know. The Daleks, this was supposed to be like a crazy... I mean... It's entirely possible that the reason that Sayward rejected the idea was because of what he was planning on doing with the Daleks in the story, which was that the Daleks were basically going to the Daleks and I think Davros were going to take up the role of Borad. And so what Borad was planning on doing, I think it was supposed to be sort of like a Davros Bride of Frankenstein kind of thing was the idea, and which sounds really cool in theory, but let's be honest, it probably wouldn't have been that cool in execution. So that was rejected, and he told them to rewrite it without the Daleks, and then he did, and this is what we got. One of the things that he wanted to add in was the concept of having a young man named Herbert who would be revealed to be H.G. Wells by the end of the story, and of course it features many sort of nods and winks to the bibliography, I don't know, of H.G. Wells. You've got the time machine, obviously, and then you've got Borad being sort of like the island of Dr. Moreau, and then you've got the time crystal 10-second delay thing, which is like the Invisible Man. So basically, this was the opening of Last Crusade, where Indiana Jones has one no good, very bad day, and it just creates him all over the course of like 45 minutes of his life.
You mean Hollywood, modern Hollywood storytelling?
Right. Yeah, that's what this was. So he went on one little adventure, and it gave him the inspiration to write all of his books. So. McCoy, he turned in his scripts, and Sayward was like, "This kind of sucks," and John Nathan Turner was like, "Yeah, no, it does suck, but we already paid him, and I don't want to waste the money that we spent. So just have him write the next part. And he's like, okay. And so he wrote the next part, and they were both like, yeah, this really sucks. We should get in a really good director. So they get in Pennant Roberts, who previously worked on Warriors of the Deep, and was sort of like he was a working TV director at the time, and had really proven himself to be a workman type director. He always gets the job done on time and under budget. And so they're like, well, we'll get this guy on, and he'll fix it because he's so good at directing. And then they gave him the scripts, and Roberts read it and was like, this sucks. He was like, I don't understand. Why does the Doctor hate Peri so much?
Yeah.
Why is he so mean all the time? And why are there no women in this story? Because apparently one of the things that Roberts was really well known for in the industry was he would take scripts, he would get scripts, and he would find any role that didn't have to be a man and cast a woman.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, he did this constantly. He was very well known for it. And so that was the very first thing that he did on this. He made Sayward soften the relationship between the Doctor and Peri. Yes, that's right. This was softened. And then also cast women in various roles in the story. Originally, there was only one female character in the whole thing, and now I think there's 3 or 4, I guess, or one new character, obviously Peri, but then one other female character that was new to the story. And then he ended up adding, I think, 2 or 3 others, just by casting them as women, which amazing. So then Roberts filmed it. And the other problem with the story was that it was the part 1 was very heavy and part 2 was very light. So they just shot the whole thing as if it was one 90-minute episode, and then they found the 2 episodes in the edit room because there was no other way to do it because of how poorly structured it was. So that's what they did, and then they created that cliffhanger that we have at the end of part 1 in the edit room. And and so that was that. I mean, there's not really a good story here, but Roberts hates the story, and he never worked for Doctor Who again because he hated it so much. And he was like, he's ashamed that this is on his resume. So there you go. He never came back. Timelash ruined Pennant Roberts. So anyway,
sad.
I know. So that's it. I mean, there's not a lot. It's a lot of this kind of sucks. Yep. How can we fix it? Let's just do it. Let's just make it. Who cares? And then we got Timelash. So there we go. I don't hate this. I do think that it needed something more, but there's a few things in it that I like a lot. My issue with it more than anything is that I don't remember a lot of the characters' names in this, other than Herbert, little old Herbert. But the dude in the cloak, I think Tecker, is that his name?
Yes.
Yeah, he's great.
Yes.
I love him. I love Tecker. I wish he was just the 6th Doctor's ongoing villain.
Like the whole time.
Like imagine if he turned out to be the Master.
Yeah.
Come on.
Stupid idiot.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love him.
What
Tecker's
was
great.
What was the official name? He was, I'm the Headland. What was it? Like, that's Headland Decker, you soup.
I don't remember. I literally just watched it and I'm just like, I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to watch when your eyes are rolling in the back of your head.
Oh my gosh.
But
I'm upset
anyway.
that I had to watch this more than once in my lifetime, honestly.
Well, never again.
Hopefully.
I mean, yeah.
Timelash Part 1. Written by Glenn McCoy. Directed by Pennant Roberts. Produced by John Nathan Turner. Script edited by Eric Sayward. Air date March 9, 1985. The Sixth Doctor and Peri are arguing in the TARDIS as it is suddenly pulled into a time corridor in space. They brace themselves for impact, but there is a strange anomaly in the form of a ghostly woman who walks through the console room and disappears. Meanwhile, we learn about the planet Carful, where the small population is ruled by the Borad, a sadistic and despotic ruler. The Borad has never shown himself in person, instead enforcing laws through the Council and his androids. Rebels are dealt with by execution via the Timelash, a permanent, fatal exile down a corridor of time and space. One member of the Council, Mycross, has grown tired of the Borad's rule and wishes to overthrow him. He conspires with the second-in-command, but the Borad finds out, and both are dealt with. The second-in-command is aged to death, while Mycross is sentenced to the Timelash. Before he can be sent in, however, Vina, his betrothed, intervenes to plead for his life. When this fails, she steals an amulet from the new second-in-command, Tekker, and accidentally falls into the Timelash. The TARDIS lands, and the Doctor recognizes this as the planet he has visited before. Tekker treats the Doctor and Peri as favored guests, but when he asks the Doctor to return to the Timelash to retrieve the stolen amulet, and the Doctor refuses, Tekker says that Peri has been taken hostage to ensure his cooperation. However, Peri escapes her captors and finds herself in the network of caves underneath the city. Some rebels save her from a lizard creature called the Morlocks, but they are soon attacked and captured by guards. To protect Peri, the Doctor returns the TARDIS into the Timelash. He calculates that the normal path of the Timelash would send Vina to 1179 on Earth, but the interference of the TARDIS, which the Doctor and Peri had seen earlier, caused her to end up in Scotland in 1885. When the Doctor arrives, he finds Vina, the amulet, and a man named Herbert. All three depart and return to Carful, and the TARDIS arrives back in the Council Chamber. The Doctor, Vina, and Herbert are then rounded up with the captured rebels, and the Doctor is forced towards the Timelash by one of the androids.
Yeah, so anyway, never again until the BBC America hires us to do drunk Doctor Who history, and then we'll have to watch it again.
Oh,
and then you
okay.
can be drunk and surly and then talk about it, and then
I'll just be like, F this guy.
and then recreate it.
F the weird dinosaur man.
Oh man, I love the weird dinosaur man.
Yeah, no, I actually do too.
I love
I think my favorite thing in this story, other than Tekker, is the Muppet. The Muppet.
Oh, the
ambassador.
worm? The Bandrel?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
he was fantastic. I wanted him to be in so much more of it. When they called him and he's like, "You better hurry up, my people are coming. We're gonna kill you."
It's like, yes, I want to see more of your people, please.
Please.
Oh man.
I like the weird dinosaur snake worm thing in the tunnels.
Oh,
that,
of
like,
course. Yeah, the one that
menaces
attacks Peri.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's great.
Absolutely.
The visual effects in this, be it costumes, the set, the friggin', we'll go into it, but just some of the sets they built in this were just so impressive. And
Yeah.
the puppetry, the puppet
issue
work was so great. It looked great. Sorry.
Oh yeah. No. That was you're totally right.
Yeah.
I think my only issue with the sets and the costumes, separately, they're both solid.
Mm-hmm.
But together, oftentimes I found, because the costumes were beige gray and
For
the
sure.
sets were beige gray, they all just sort of merged together visually.
Yeah.
And so that kind of bothered me. Separately, they're good. It's just together I don't know that they quite work.
Yeah, it's like they took the note about the planet Carful or whatever the city was called, about it being like, Peri was like, wow, this place kind of sucks, huh? Like everything's kind of matte and nothing's really shiny. And I think they kind of took that note and maybe were like, oh, okay, we'll do, but there's always a way to make it not.
Yeah. I mean, you make the walls beige and you make the people in gray costumes, and then they're monochromatic, but at least they don't like
Blend
merge
together.
into the they don't blend together into the sets. I will say the sets, especially the set near the Timelash portal, it is just like the most 80s design, like the coral colors and the
like you expect,
beige and gray. Oh my god!
Yeah, it's like the elders from Bill and Ted. This is like what their outside of that chamber looks like.
Yes, I felt like I was back growing up in Florida again.
Oh my god!
In the late 80s, early 90s, that's what this felt like. Oh man!
Welcome to Florida, Peri.
Yeah,
land of nightmares.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out who Tecker reminded me of the most.
I was getting kind of like a Lord Farquaad vibe.
Yeah, Lord Farquaad, a little bit of a what's his name in Chamber of Secrets?
Oh, Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yeah, a little Gilderoy Lockhart and
Order of Merlin third class.
and a little bit of what is his name? It's his last name's Sheen. What's his first name? Not Martin. Michael Sheen. Yeah. Kind of a Michael Sheen-ish vibe about him. I don't know.
Or Charlie Sheen? Is it?
No. Michael Sheen.
Okay.
Definitely Michael Sheen. I think. I don't know. He was reminding me of someone very specific, but anyway, he's great. He's got a cape and he's very full of himself and sniveling.
Scheming.
It's good.
Always scheming.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I like that guy. Anyway. Yeah, it's so interesting. This is like a that turn of phrase where like it's the story is not the sum of its parts. I mean this is the perfect example of that. Like where like I kind of like all the parts in this.
Yeah.
It's just that when you put them all together, because you're like, yeah, there's a dude who's like a half dinosaur who at the end of this gets thrown into a portal and turned into the Loch Ness monster.
I know. By all rights, I should love this, but I do not.
Yeah.
At all.
I know. Anyway. I think that, okay, so first of all, like part one, starting with in this era in particular, because of how much Eric Sayward hated the Sixth Doctor, I was shocked that this started with a scene in the TARDIS between the Doctor and Peri. I was like, whoa, what? Because usually I'm used to Eric Sayward Sixth Doctor stories starting with a bunch of people we don't know, and we're with them for so long that I forget that I'm watching Doctor Who.
Which we for sure get some of that. I mean, it does take about 20 minutes for the Dr. Peri plotline and the Contron or whatever timeline to like sync up. But it was interesting to see that right off the bat, Dr. Peri.
Mm-hmm. And right off the bat, they're arguing.
Yeah. I will say this, maybe I might have said this last time, but I do remember watching this one and being like, wow, he is growing on me, the Sixth Doctor. Where
this reminds me the most, like his interactions with Peri in this remind me the most when New Who doctors bicker with their companions. Like
9.
Like the thing where he's like, no, and then he like, ugh, and then he goes over and fiddles with some stuff, and then no, like that feels like I feel like other like modern doctors have taken that personality trait and used it from time to time.
Especially 11 now that I'm thinking about it. Like 11 could get really like fussy.
Yeah.
And like you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. But rather than Pee Wee Herman's bully, he acts like an actual child. He really is. The Sixth Doctor really is. If Pee Wee Herman's bully was a doctor,
Francis Buxton.
Yeah, Francis Buxton. I know you are, but what am I?
I think
My father said that I could have anything I want for my birthday.
I think the thing that bothers me the most about when Six and Peri specifically bicker is that he is super aggro about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's that part where he's like yelling and like she's like cringing, and I'm just like, ooh, yeah, that's not a good look.
You know, it's a little. It's kind of because I think in the context of the scene, like the Doctor has like 90 to 100% of the power.
Yeah,
and Peri is just like, oh, I'm happy to be here. You know, please don't. And it's just like, oh God, I feel like I'm in a friggin' office. But like when it happens to like 11, I guess it kind of feels like he's fighting to take some of his power back from Amy. Which is like, hey, why are you walking around like you own the place? You don't own the place. I own the place. And like, that's kind of, I guess that's like marginally more interesting than just like a boss yelling at his subordinate.
Right.
With no fear of repercussion.
Well, this was the 80s, so that's just how it was.
Oh, for sure. It was just an unending nightmare.
Yeah, just an unending nightmare of bosses yelling at their underlings.
And now we're nostalgic for it.
With no repercussions. Yep. You better believe it. Yeah. So anyway, so that's happening. They come up across this tunnel, this time corridor thing that is just the funniest effect. It was just like somebody took a hexagonal pattern into Microsoft Paint and just like slapped down a few random colors onto it and then put it into an episode of Doctor Who. It is one of the cheapest effects I've ever seen on Doctor Who, and that's saying something. It's pretty amazing.
It's maybe the most like high school theater production special effect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a lot of that in this episode, actually. Mm-hmm. There's that bit where the two guys go into that room. They have to use the key at the same time to like get the thing to go up. And that is like, it was just the most, it was just the cheapest effect. Like you could just practically see this person right off camera, like pulling the rope to like drag the thing up. It's so funny.
Oh man, that blew my mind. I could not get over how good the inside of the Timelash looked.
Oh, really?
I loved it. It looked so. It just looked like the coolest thing ever made for like an amateur theater production. Like, oh god, it must take it so much time to cut the individual like shards, and like it just looked like the most fun like escape room.
Oh yeah, you're talking about like the sort of like crystal wall thing. Yeah. Though we're in there for a really long time.
We are.
That's part 2, I think.
It is.
Yeah. But I think my other favorite part of this is just based on just the audacity of it are these somebody who was involved with the Super Mario Brothers movie watched Timelash and was a big fan because those are definitely Goombas. The androids in this, they're like blue Goombas.
They like,
oh my god.
Well, Scott, I think it was very charitable and kind of you to say androids. Buying into the illusion that there was ever more than one of these things.
Right.
They were very careful about they only have one android at a time.
Yes, definitely.
God bless that actor. I hope he got paid.
But yeah, so he's got a blue face, bright yellow hair, not blonde, yellow.
Yeah, like bleach. Like it's really bad.
Not even bleach. Like literally, like they colored his hair with crayon. Just yellow, like goldenrod. And then a blue face, and then he's got like a muscle suit on that makes his shoulders like 5 times bigger than they should be.
And he already looks like a broad fellow.
Yeah, totally. So it makes his head look really tiny. And then on top of all of that, you're like, oh, wow, this guy's really intimidating. And then he talks and he's got a high pitched little robot
Like
voice.
a kind of sing-songy kind of tone.
Yeah, like the voice that your robot friend would have. Like if you had a robot friend as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, please be my friend.
Kind of vaguely canine-esque.
A little bit, yeah. A little more aggro, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. K9 could be pretty aggro sometimes.
Yeah, but he's adorable.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. In this planet, they execute traitors by throwing them into a time portal, and then they go wherever they end up, anywhere in space and time.
Yeah, it felt crazy. Like it almost felt like before, like the technology that would become the angels.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you want to retcon it, it's almost like maybe they heard legends of the angels, and they were like, oh, a creature that can displace you in time. What a great way of getting rid of enemies. Let's make a machine that does. I don't know. I sensed the connection, and I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I see, and that's the thing. Again, it's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
It really is. Like this episode, this story is loaded with cool ideas. Mm-hmm. If they had just had a writer that was able to like actually bring all these things together, this could be a really cool story. Like, seriously.
My question though, like, was Eric Sayward like busy? Like, that's literally his job to make the scripts better? Was he?
I think he was writing the Dalek episode.
Oh.
So he was busy.
And you said that one's really good, right?
It's fine.
No, okay.
Yeah. I don't know that there's any Sixth Doctor stories you would call really good.
I like Mysterious Planet, but that's next.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that does have a robot packing a suitcase.
Does he travel to the set of Mysterious Planet?
If only. Anyway. Yeah. So.
Yeah, they're pushing people into the Timelash. That's how they get rid of them.
Yeah.
There's like a rebellion.
I like that. They walk the plank into a time portal. That's pretty cool. That's a cool idea.
I really love just getting right to the meat. Like, we're already in media res with this political uprising.
Yeah. So they're killing traitors, and Tecker is being a swarmy guy with his cloak.
He literally does
cloak.
like, yeah, it's great. He does the thing where he like whips it over his shoulder.
Yeah, single shoulder cloak. That's the best kind of cloak.
Oh my god.
Asymmetrical cloaks. That's good stuff. Anyway, so the TARDIS comes through the Timelash portal due to them going through the Microsoft Paint portal that they saw. And they went through that and they came out the Timelash portal, and they're like, things aren't supposed to come in this. They're supposed to go out this. They're like, oh no, it's fine. That's the Doctor. Oh, right. We had that adventure with him that one time. We sure did.
And I just learned today while getting ready that is not a reference to a past episode.
Nope.
That freaked me out.
Yeah. Nope.
Because like I watched this with this is fun. I watched this with my roommate, and this was his first ever Doctor Who episode.
I'm sorry to your roommate.
No, don't say. We had a heck of a time. This was
okay.
We had so much fun. He was like, "This is the craziest show I've ever seen." I'm like, "Yeah." and when they cut to like who's that? And it's like Joe Grant in like the locket or whatever. I was like, "Oh well, I'm sure Scott Castle told me all about this." It's like Terror of the Mind People. It's like an 8-part black and white story that we're gonna have to talk about for like 6 hours in a year. But no, it doesn't even exist.
Nope.
That's crazy.
Nope. I wonder if Big Finish has ever gone back and made that adventure. Because they do like those companion chronicles, you know?
Yeah.
Like, obviously they can't get John Pertwee back.
Definitely.
But although they really should just cast his son as the Third Doctor.
Yeah, hey,
just
they got that. They
just
got that
do
Alfred.
some Third Doctor stories.
They got that Alfred spinoff coming now. He's gonna be busy.
No, that's not him. They're casting someone else.
Okay, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Also, there's no way that gets picked up. That's not happening.
Sure.
10 out of 10. That is not happening.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 not happening. It's silly that anyone thought that was a good idea.
It's like it's a Teen Titans Go joke.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it is. You're
Alfred.
Right. Alfred.
The belt. I love that movie.
Anyway, it's a great movie. Yeah, I don't see that anywhere that I don't see.
Oh, like if there was ever like a chapter
prequel.
A prequel.
Yeah.
It's cool because like they mentioned that the world used to be like super beautiful and very impressive to look at. So that would be interesting to.
Oh my God. So it says in prose, the only reference to that adventure was in a book called Speed of Flight. It is mentioned that the Doctor and Joe are on their way to Carful, with the reference to the Doctor only having one companion here explained as Captain Mike Yates was joining them on their trip.
Who's Captain Mike Yates?
That's that guy that I keep telling you is a companion, but you would never know because he doesn't do anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a unit soldier.
Oh.
Anyway.
I kind of like that this is like his Kessel Run.
It's boring. Yeah.
Something that is always alluded
to. Yeah, I guess
to.
that's true. Yeah, his Kessel Run or his Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's the Time War. I don't know.
Something that should never be explained. Well, no, the Clone Wars ended up pretty good. That's a great show.
Yeah, it is a great show. You're right. Anyway, so okay. So then betray.
Yeah, like we see like one of the king people is was low key like a rebel leader, and then he meets like the main bad guy. We call him Salad Fingers. That's what we called him. Me and my roommate.
Oh my God.
Salad Fingers. Salad Fingers.
Oh my God.
Did you watch that cartoon, Nick?
Yeah. That was like one of the first things on the internet. That was like around Homestar Runner era, right?
Yeah.
Some vintage memes
Bethany,
right there.
Bethany and I quote that all the time.
Oh my God.
Every time we see, every time we do a horse racing thing, we're like, he's all ready for the big race. Anyway, Salad Fingers. So lots of betrayal stuff, and then they're gonna throw the Doctor into the Timelash portal. Also, there's like a ghost lady.
Yeah, so they push like the daughter of the leader who got turned into a skeleton. They like it's her turn to get time lashed, but then she's holding like a MacGuffin. I mean, let's be honest, it's just like a necklace that's like a triangle, and you put it on the thing. But then like she appears like a Dickensian ghost in the TARDIS, like floating from one end to the other. Mm-hmm. And it's and Peri's like, "What's that?" And the Doctor's like, "Shut up."
Shut up! Stop talking.
I look great.
Yeah. So then she appears in the 1800s, and that's where we meet Herbert, who is using an old fashioned Ouija board, the kind that were like in a circle. Mm-hmm. And he's like doing his Ouija board thing with an upside down glass because the budget of this couldn't even afford to get him like a proper Ouija piece. They just were like, I don't know, somebody draw on a circle, letters and numbers, and then we'll just turn a drinking glass upside down. It's fine. Who cares?
It's season 22, people.
Yeah, we're about to get canceled anyway. It doesn't matter. So she appears and he's like, he just so happens to be using that Ouija board. So he's convinced that she's a ghost. And then the Doctor comes after her in the TARDIS. And then he thinks that he's a demon and it's a whole misunderstanding. And the Doctor just like, is like, I don't have time for this. I just need to find the girl that just appeared here. There she is. Hi, we need to go do this thing. And she's like, okay. And then he's like, I'm coming with you. And he's like, no, Herbert, you're not. He's like, I think I am. He's like, all right, whatever. I just don't even care anymore.
She'll die anyway. What do I care?
Yeah. So then they all go back, and then that's when the guy was like, yeah, no, I need the thing that she had. And so he's going after it, and they all come back to the thing, and he's like, I tricked you. I'm not letting you free. You're going to go into the Timelash now. Mwahaha. Mm-hmm. And then he pushes him in the Timelash, and that's our cliffhanger for part 1. It's very, I feel like we keep saying this a lot. I think it was less so in the 3 Doctors. That was probably the story that most successfully did the 45-minute thing.
Mm-hmm. The 2 Doctors, you mean?
Yeah, the 2 Doctors. Sorry. Pacing wise, they were still like, all right, come on. Like, you could still probably trim 10 minutes out of each of those,
right?
But it wasn't so obviously 2 parts just edited together into one. The structure of this is not so good. Mm-hmm. 'Cause it's so obvious that like part 1 was getting there, and then part 2 was like this mission that he sends him on mm-hmm. to go get the thing that the lady has. So it's very, I don't know, these 45-minute episodes, what a mistake that was.
Which is interesting because we know that going into the remake era, that would become like the status quo, but maybe it's just splitting them in half. Maybe it's making mm-hmm. everyone like a 2-parter. I barely like the 2-parters they do now. How long are those?
Yeah. What in modern?
Yeah, like 44 minutes, right?
Yeah. They're 2 45-minute episodes.
Yeah, I can't remember the last 2-parter I liked. That was dope. I'm so glad that was 2 parts.
Yeah.
Like the Wicker King one, very great.
No. What was the last? Oh, probably the Cybermen 2-parter.
Right.
The Masters.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh, the finale? Was that the finale?
Yeah, that was the finale.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the finales are normally 2-parters, technically. But that one was like literally.
Yeah, that one was more literal. Because like, even in season, what was it, 10? 9? 9. Season 9's finale was like a 2-parter, but it was like Heaven Sent and Hellbent. Like, those were 2 separate episodes.
Yeah.
Like, they were, they had ties between the 2, but they were obviously 2 separate episodes. Mm-hmm. The Master Cybermen 2-parter, that was like an actual legit 2-parter, I would say. So, anyway.
Timelash Part 2, written by Glenn McCoy, directed by Pennant Roberts, produced by John Nathan Turner, script edited by Eric Sayward, air date March 16th, 1985. They fight back and seal the chamber doors. This buys the Doctor enough time to hoist into the Timelash on a rope and take 2 crystals from the wall of the time corridor. He uses this to create an illusion, allowing him to slip out of the chamber. Herbert follows. Meanwhile, Tecker reports to the Borad, who is revealed to be a mix of humanoid and warlocks. They watch on a screen as Peri is brought into a cave and strapped down while some warlocks gather around her. A canister of a chemical that can fuse together different tissue as one creature is placed near Peri. The Borad's plan is to make Peri a lizard mutant just like him. The Doctor arrives to confront Tecker and the Borad, recognizing the latter as a crazed scientist he encountered on his previous visit to Karfel. His plan has been to provoke a war with the neighboring planet which will wipe out all the Karfelons, but leave the Morlocks and himself alive. This revelation prompts Tecker to rebel, but he is aged to death. The Doctor uses one of the crystals from the Timelash to deflect the beam back at the Borad, killing him. Herbert helps the Doctor rescue Peri from the Morlocks. They return to the council chamber, where a few of the rebels have identified a Bandril invasion fleet armed with warheads. The Bandrils are suspicious of the Doctor's attempts to intervene, so he decides to materialize the TARDIS in the path of the incoming warhead. He succeeds at deflecting it, and returns to find that the Borad is still alive after all, and is threatening to steal Peri away. The Doctor uncovers a mirror and brandishes it at the Borad, who is distraught at the sight of himself, and he is thrown into the Timelash by the Doctor, who says he was sent to Loch Ness in the 12th century. In the TARDIS, the Doctor and Peri prepare to depart Carfull to return Herbert to his own time. Herbert is still outside, and the Doctor calls to hurry him up before showing Peri Herbert's business card, which identifies him as H.G. Wells.
So episode 2 of Timelash, it's episode 2 is rougher than episode 1, which is kind of unbelievable.
Yeah, which is saying something.
Yeah. The Doctor spends like 20 minutes of it on a rope hanging through the Timelash.
Yeah. Like spelunking. It's like spelunking in Care Bear Land. Because everything is
foam crystals.
Everything looks like it's so soft and so safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's so strange. They're like having trouble pulling him out because he slips and he's hanging off the rope. And so like all these people are holding the other side of the rope on the other side of the Timelash so that he doesn't, fall through time. And they're having trouble pulling him out. So like rather than getting more guys or pulling, like they're having trouble holding him. And so their solution is, how about 2 of us let go of the rope and climb down so that 4 of us aren't holding the weight of one person. 2 of us are holding the weight of 3 of us. That makes sense.
It's perfectly reasonable.
Oh my God.
Well, my roommate remarked simply the fact that just a rope is able to make its way through the Timelash. They're just like pulling on it, and the Doctor's like, it's just around his waist, and just like, yeah, the rope's fine. It kind of makes me question anyone else who got pushed into the Timelash, how their fortitude, because it doesn't seem that hard to just hang out there in that room.
Right?
Like, why aren't there just like half a dozen people in there?
I don't know. So then there's this bit where the one dude, our swarmy Tecker, he finds this random guy and is like, "Hey, you're getting a promotion." Really? It feels so sudden. Yep, totally getting a promotion. And they walk into the room with Borad, and he's like, "This guy's a traitor." And he's like, "Oh, you know what we do to traitors? We kill him." And he's like, "No, I thought I was getting a promotion." And then he dies. And it's just like,
yeah, he like gets tricked.
Oh man, what a bummer.
And Decker's just like,
got him. It's like the equivalent of patting him on the back and putting a traitor sign, like traitor kick me sign on his back. It's ridiculous. So Peri's in the caves meanwhile, and she finds that creature, and we learn that Borad is like he's like an amalgamation of that creature in the caves and one of these I don't know. I'm just gonna say humans because at the end of the day they're humans.
Yeah.
It's like Star
obviously
Wars.
They're not. They're from another planet, but they're humans. Humanoids. So he like becomes an amalgamation of this thing, and he's like real bummed out about it because he's like this hideous Two-Face monster, and he's like, "This really sucks. Look at my salad fingers." And
I remember
he's like,
you from the
nobody's
last
going
adventure.
to love me. And the Doctor's like, "You're right, because you're a hideous monster. You ugly monster. You horrible, smelly, disgusting monster."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'll make someone love me, and that person's name is Peri. And I'm gonna make her into someone like me, and we're gonna fall in love, and we're gonna have lots of sex and have lots of babies." And it's going to be great. And the Doctor's just like, "Oh, except that you're so ugly."
Perry's already
Like
in love
it's-
with someone. Me.
Oh my god.
And Peri has no say in any of this.
Perry
No.
is in that cave for all of part 2.
Yeah. Until she gets out, she gets taken out, dragged out of the cave, basically by Borad by the neck. And is like, "You're going to marry me."
Literally,
She's like, "I don't know who you are.
Like literally, she's reduced to Penelope Pit Stop for like this entire episode.
Yeah, or olive oil, or pick your poison.
Dawn.
Oh my god. Oh man.
But yeah, no, the Doctor just shames this guy for his looks in a very un-Doctor like move.
Yeah, but that's after taking 15 minutes to explain his new time projector technology crystal necklace that he's made, in which he turns it on, and then people seem to be getting hit by an invisible man. And then 10 seconds later, he gets up and then like hits the spaces where they were because he's projecting a 10-second delay. On reality.
Yeah, that was actually kind of cool. Like because there's a part early on in part 2 where just like a flaming android appears out of nowhere in the middle of a fight, and I remember like, wait, what? And then when they brought that back, I'm like, oh, that's kind of like they do that a lot. They're going to do that a lot more going forward, like playing with the idea that this is a show that moves in and out of time.
Right. Yeah, they don't. For a show about time travel, they do very little time travel play in Classic Who.
It's almost it actually. The more I watch of this, the more I'm impressed by Moffat's run, just in the way that he really did. Like, wait, why? Because it's an adventure show for this class. It's like, ooh, let's wander around this place and talk to all these people and stop this thing from happening. And then, you do get to like past and present and future. There's this great line in this episode where the bad guy's like, you don't have a monopoly on the fourth dimension, Doctor. I'm like, oh, it's a good bad guy line.
So anyway, after the Doctor defeats Borad by showing him his hideous, ugly reflection.
I know, he literally like unveils a mirror and he's just like, no. And
how do you know there was a mirror behind
I don't know. I love that there's like a little John Pertwee cardboard cutout though. Just like chilling. Yeah.
I took that to mean, because in part 1, the Doctor was like, it didn't used to look like this. And Barry's like, yeah, it looks like they put matte over everything. And I just was like, oh, it's like underneath all of this. Like he made all that mirror stuff go away because he was like, well, I don't want to have to look at myself when I take over, so I'll make them cover all that now.
With the top of the line 80s interior decoration.
Yes.
And then Borad, Tecker like turns on him because he's like, I'm not letting you lead. I'm the leader. You're an ugly monster. I've been listening to what this Doctor is saying, and he's right. You are hideous. And so Tekker's like, I'm taking over. I've got a cloak. I've got Swarm. And Borad is just like hell you are. And he zaps him with this thing that ages him instantly. So that's like our second Last Crusade reference in this story. Just like watching a man age all the way into a skeleton in front of you. It's cooler in Last Crusade. I know that's probably surprising to all of you. But it is. It is cooler. I think that's the most disappointing part of this story is that Tecker doesn't stick around to be an ongoing threat for the Sixth Doctor, because he really is like, he would be the perfect master for the Sixth Doctor.
I know. I can't believe they like bring the freaking poop slug monster back and not this guy. Like,
this guy's great.
Well, what weirds me out even more is because, there's a part where Borad is like, you don't remember me, do you, from our last adventure? And the Doctor was like, I do remember you. And at the time, I was like, oh, it's kind of cool to bring someone back from another story. But now that I know there was no other story, I'm completely like, well, why not just make Tecker the main bad guy?
Heck yeah. Tecker was great.
Yeah.
So
and then Borad becomes the Loch Ness monster and is used by the Zygons.
But first, Borad reveals that he doesn't even need a girlfriend because he can just clone himself.
Yeah, oh man, nothing about this makes any sense.
Classic incel move.
You know what? I don't even need a girlfriend.
They just cause drama.
Borat the Bachelor, that's me. And then the doctor is like, yeah, that's fine. You can go ahead and clone yourself, but it won't stop you from being ugly. You ugly monster. You're so horrible
You
to
sure
look at.
are ugly.
And he's like, yeah, and he's just like, stop calling me ugly. And then he like backs up into the Timelash. And they're like, and the doctor's like, so where did that go? And he's like, Scotland in the, what did he say, 1600s? Is that
I
what
think
he
it's
said?
like the 1200s.
1200s?
Yeah, it's like medieval Scotland.
Yeah, medieval Scotland. And he's just like, oh, okay, well, he'll have a place to swim around for a few thousand years. And he's like, won't people see him? And he's like, sometimes, occasionally.
Oh my god.
I know I will once.
Oh, he's going to be the Loch Ness Monster. And it's so weird because we met the Loch Ness Monster
exactly.
2 stories ago.
Yeah, the Scarson.
So that was him. That was Borat. That's what this story is
you mother.
supposing.
Yeah.
It's so weird that they like build their own canon to like legitimize the Sixth Doctor while ignoring like the fact that the Loch Ness Monster is a cyborg, like a Zygon robot thing.
I bet you if they had gone with like terror at Loch Ness, like we talked about last time, they wouldn't have made this mistake. They just scrolled through the episode list and they're like, terror of the Zygons. I don't see any Loch Ness.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, Eric, it's not like Eric Sayward had ever watched Doctor Who before. Let's be honest. Oh man.
There's a character named Kaz or Katz with a Z, like the deli, and she's like one of the rebels, and I really liked her costume. I remember thinking if they ever make like a high school production of The Last Jedi, that would be like a great Rey costume.
Yeah. Sure. So anyway, he's a Loch Ness Monster, and then the doctor, they all offer. They're like, "Hey, you guys should stick around. You're not you're not half bad. You know, we took down this resurgence, whatever. Like, this is gonna be great. We're gonna make this place worth living again." And he's like, no, we should go. And Herbert is like, I might stay. And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. You should stay. And he's like, okay. And the doctor's just like, hey, Perry, actually, he's not going to stay because look at his name. And he has a business card. He has a business card.
You probably don't know this,
Herbert.
Harry, but Herbert George Wells is an
George
author
Wells.
of science fiction books, Perry.
Yeah, the only thing that could have possibly made it worse is if Perry was like, Herbert George Wells, who's that?
Right?
Oh man. And then the doctor's just like, you don't know who H.G. Wells is, you stupid idiot.
And then it's just like, da-da-da-da.
We have so many audiobooks to listen to on our next trip.
Oh, yay. And you don't get to pick any of them.
Oh man. Anyway. So that's Timelash.
Mm-hmm.
We have described it so much more fun than it actually is to watch.
I had a good time.
It's like I have a good time when I watch it too because of all the crazy ideas, but like everything takes too long and
it definitely doesn't add up to something based on, part one cashes a lot of checks.
Yeah, that's true.
Or writes a lot of checks, I should say.
Writes a lot of checks that it can't cash.
Mm-hmm.
It tries to cash them in part two, but they all bounce. And now Timelash has its picture at the grocery store. Do not take checks for this person.
This is Broton. I do want to say, Broton is an impressive... Borat. Am I saying Borat?
Oh.
What am I saying? Boron? Whatever.
No, you said Brotan.
Brotan. That's what I call people when they're my friend. I really liked the makeup. I mean, it looked goofy, but I mean, it looked like they wrote in the script he has half the face of a man and half the face of a dinosaur. And God love him, of the Loch Ness Monster, and God love him, they did it. That's what it looked like.
Mm-hmm.
I was really impressed with his makeup too, because one of the things, Like I've been watching Face Off on Hulu. It's like
Yes.
sort of my like I'm gonna turn my brain off and just like absorb a reality contest show.
Mhm.
A buddy of mine
kind
is
of
in that at one point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, his name's
That's
Eric.
cool. Oh,
If there's anybody in your season named Eric Zapata,
I'll have to keep an eye out for that.
No
I don't
worries.
do. Let me know what season he's in.
I'll have to look it up. I will.
Yeah. So I've been watching that, and like I was just like looking at this makeup, and I was like, I mean, I've seen worse things on Face Off.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's, 30 years later, 30, 40 years later.
Mhm.
I mean, that's impressive, right?
Yeah, like
don't know.
there's a part where they cut to just the Loch Ness Monster side, and the lips are still moving as he talks pretty effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's a 1985.
All I know is if somebody if Big Finish was like, hey, you can do a spin-off of anything you want from Doctor Who. You just can't use the Doctor or any of his companions. You can make it about anything else. I would say, okay, I'm going to do, I don't know how I'll make it work, but I'm going to do a spin-off where Tecker is the bad guy and Pex is the good guy.
Oh my god.
Yeah, in fact, yeah.
I don't know how that's going to work, but I'll make it work.
Tecker is like,
be
Tecker's like the
amazing.
Skeletor.
Yes. Just Pex versus Tecker.
He's here to set Contron to rights, or Carful to rights.
Contra.
Yep. Oh man. Anyway, so
If any
That's
of
Timelash.
if any of what we said sounds interesting, maybe you'll
Just listen to
Get it.
this. Like,
yeah.
it's on BritBox.
I don't know if people go and watch the episodes after listening to us talk about it. I don't know if that's what they do. I don't know how people listen to the show. Or what they do afterwards. Like, do they go back and watch the episode? Do they just like watch it along? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, we make I think we make this podcast so that they don't have to watch it
mhm.
if they don't want to. I mean,
Mhm.
that's kind of the point of the recaps, right?
Yeah.
So
I
anyway,
wish we didn't have to watch
Well,
some of them.
or talk about them later.
Well, I mean,
Cass.
it's fine to make fun of it, but like there
Yeah,
are
I
a
guess that's
handful
true.
of stories that just make me so angry. And this is like
Ye-
borderline one of them. I'm just like, oh god, I hate this one. So
Yeah, the ones that are gonna really annoy me are late era Tom Baker stuff, like Douglas Adams and beyond. Like that's the stuff that I'm just like, oh my god.
Douglas Adams and Beyond was my favorite Saturday morning educational show.
So anyway, yeah. So that's Timelash. Next time, the Happiness Patrol.
Hell yeah. Why is every episode of this friggin' show like the perfect name for like an emo band?
I know. I feel so spoiled by this run of our like watch through, because aside from this one and like I don't know, Faceless Ones was fine, but like all of them are super good. So I think that just makes this one stand out more as being not
Yeah,
great.
that's true. That's true. That is very true. Yeah, this has been a really good run this time. But, it's a good run to go out on as far as before we start talking about like new episodes.
Mhm.
Because I don't think we're going to do another run of this. Like, I don't think we'd be able to get through season 7 of The Long Way Around before the show comes back.
Yeah.
So we're probably just gonna call it after this and just go on hiatus until the show comes back in the fall.
Yeah, for like a few weeks, more than likely.
Right. But I will say, we do have the big question mark of Invaders from Mars coming up, and the long game, which is fine. But that's about it.
Mhm.
Like, it's just fine. And then the Cybermen 2-parter, which is just not my favorite thing.
It's okay.
It's fine, but like I just remember all the stuff in that, and I was like, oh my god, it just feels like it goes on forever.
Mm.
Because there's just so much to it. But And then we go out on Amy's Choice, which is
that's
a
yeah,
good one.
that'll be fun.
That's a good one. Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll be back next week with Timelash. Nope, we just did Timelash. We'll be back next week with. We're stuck in a loop.
No!
We are. This is the Timelash. Timelash is the Timelash.
Oh my god.
We'll be back next week with the Happiness Patrol.